Hey, what's up guys? Darkbreaker here. The new patch is coming out and we're gonna run through the patch notes and let's get started. So this is gonna be 3.0b and in like 4 weeks the new patch with Shen and Karma is gonna come out. So 3.1 gonna be pretty big, but let's get started. Welcome to the last balance patch of the 3.0 cycle. We are throwing a fish to our latest cuddly addition, Yumi, who's been struggling since her release. Actually, I'm surprised. And nerfing and buffing runes across the board. Runes and runes nerfed and buffed. That's gonna be big. Those fluffy little poros are also going on another adventure. This time to Ionia. We'll be later this month when 3.1 releases. Reminder content will be released throughout the patch. So for the new skins we have Obsidian Malphite and Zombie Slayer Pantheon. Okay. This is coming out on 3rd March. Okay, new Malphite and Pantheon video, let's go. Okay, accessories, you can earn or purchase accessories from a bunch of different sources. Please check the relevant page in-game for more information on how to get them. Okay, this is what you can get. And the events. Join the Fluffed Ionia. Join the pros on another Flufftastic adventure, this time in Ionia, coming out at March 10. And now, let's get started with the champion changes. This slippery assassin has had too easy of a time killing his foes, so we're cutting back on some of his base damage. Third ability is getting nerfed by 10 at each rank. And for the ultimate, maximum base damage is getting nerfed by 50 for each rank. So that's actually his main damage. Like the third ability is getting nerfed and the ultimate, I mean 10 damage is not too much. The ultimate is gonna hurt a little bit, but overall I think Fizz is still gonna be fine. He was kinda too strong, but there are other champions that also need a nerf more or needs, or the need for them to get a nerf is higher than Fizz. So Fizz is definitely not on the priority of needing a nerf. But yeah, the nerfs are still fine. Gonna hurt him, but not too much. Jax. Jax has been one of the most dominant fighters in both the Baron lane and jungle because of his late game scaling. We are toning down some of that power by reducing the attack speed he gains per stack of Relentless Assault. Attack speed gained per stack is getting reduced from 3 to 2.5. So pretty much, wait, 0.5 first, then 1, then 1.5, and then 2 at max. 2% less per stack. This is actually a pretty heavy nerf in the late game. They are nerfing, like they're obviously, his early game is just slightly touched because it's scaling, like the nerf is scaling, so later on 2%. This is actually big because for each stack is 2% less. Hello? Okay, no. Pretty big nerf. I think this is gonna be pretty big nerf for the late game. He's still gonna be strong, obviously, since it's Jax in the late game, but it's definitely gonna hurt him. Lulu, our favorite whimsical Yordle, has consistently been a top pick for supports in high level play, so we are reducing her ability to buff her allies and how often she can turn her enemies into cute little squirrels. So second ability is getting nerfed, the cooldown is getting increased from 16 to 17 at level 1 and basically by 1 second at each rank. And the shield value is getting increased in the early game on the third ability, but nerfed in the later stages of the game. So overall a net nerf for Lulu. I mean I put her in S+ tier for ages, so this is gonna put her in like, it's probably still gonna be S+ tier, honestly. Because they need to nerf their attack speed and movement speed that the allies are getting from Lulu. For Jax, where did they put him in the jungle? S tier? I think S tier. He's still gonna be S tier, and in the top lane like A tier. For Fizz, he's still gonna be S tier in my opinion. And now Yumi. Since her release, this cuddly cat has been having a rough time finding a place in the dragon lane. We held off on buffs initially because we wanted to give players time to adjust to her unique playstyle. But it's clear now that even the most dedicated Yumi players are struggling. We are giving her more reasons to take her claws out and play around her prowling projectile rather than only focusing on giving her allies the zoomies. Mana regeneration growth getting increased from 0.9 to 1.3. The passive is getting lowered from 12 seconds to 10, and then in the late game it is 0.5 reduction only. And the first ability is getting... Wait, what the fuck? They're doing so much. Mana cost 90 to 70 on the first ability, so they want her to be stronger as a poker in the early game. Current percent HP damage from... Actually, in the late game they want her to have more damage. Sorry, never mind. 2 to 2 in the early game, then 3.5 to 4 slight buff, then 5 to 6, 6.5 to 8, but in the late game it's a 2% percentage buff, which is actually kind of huge. And oh, I was not wrong about the base damage. They also increased the base damage by 20 at each rank, which is actually gonna be pretty solid. Like less mana, more percentage damage later on, and more flat damage. And then powered base damage is also getting increased by 20 at each rank. Oh no. Airy Yumi poking your ass down in the early game. This is gonna make her early game much more better than it was before. And I told you in the Yumi videos that Yumi kinda weak in the early game if you don't play it correctly. But this is gonna make her a lot stronger in the poke part in the early game. You and me attach adaptive force ratio from 1 to 1.67 to 1.2. This is a pretty solid buff. This is a solid buff? Wow, why are they doing this? The ultimate is also getting buffed by 20 base damage per wave. This is actually a lot. You guys realize she's... How many waves is she throwing? 7 waves? So if every wave is hitting, it's gonna be 20 times 7, 140 additional damage. This is actually also... right, I don't know. You're looking at numbers or average win rate or something, but hey, you're doing a mistake. I already see Yumi's getting super popular in pro play and she's getting picked a lot, even Yumi top lane. This might be a disaster. They're buffing us so hard. Mana regeneration, cooldown on the passive, so you can give more shield. Poking much more stronger. The ally stat buff also better. The ultimate damage also. What the fuck are they doing? They're trolling. They're inting. They're inting. Mortius is a niche item that should be the premier pick when facing multiple magic damage threats. But right now it's not. We hope by reducing Morse cost, it will help it become the premier item of choice when facing multiple enemies dealing magic damage. I think the main issue is that it doesn't stack with Sterok's Gauge. So combined cost is 200 gold less, so from 3k to 2.8k. The issue is just a lot of champions just prefer Sterok's Gauge, and it doesn't stack. Mortius and Sterok's Gauge don't stack, so that's a downside. If the passive would stack, people would go much more often. It's just about Sterok's Gauge. So the lifeline passive, they just need to change it, then people would buy both. Like, I just don't call it lifeline, call it something else. Let it stack. I tell you, a lot of bruisers are gonna buy more of Mortius immediately instead of Wit's End or Force of Nature or Spirit Visage. Okay, now the Rune changes. We are gonna talk about the Rune changes. I'm gonna explain you how it's gonna change the meta, what's gonna be a really good change, and yeah, if I think the changes are good or useful, they're not gonna do anything. So let's get started with, for the domination tree, Electrocute. So Electrocute is meant to be the keystone for burst and quick trades, but for many champions, Conqueror has just been a better choice. We're giving it a couple small buffs to help it compete with the other options, particularly for assassins and mages. Base damage is slightly getting increased by 5 in the early, by 5. And the cooldown is getting lowered from 25 to 20. I think Conqueror is still too broken, and Conqueror is going to be better than Electrocute. For some champions like Fizz that like to go Electrocute, I think this is going to be a nice buff. But it's not that like that many champions go Electrocute. Maybe a Rengar, maybe a Zed, maybe some poking mages. But Airy is still a very good rune as well for some poking mages, or Conqueror as well. So I think it's gonna be a nice buff, but just slight buff, nothing too special to worry about, because the damage is just slightly, and cooldown 20 seconds still very long compared to a Conqueror, where you can have the 5 stacks at all times in a team fight. Next change is gonna be a banger. Domination Triumph. Triumph is a rune that can allow champions who do high damage kill multiple enemies in a teamfight and stay healthy while doing it. However, it's lately been struggling to find its place in this meta. So we're increasing the damage it provides when attacking lower health champions, so that it can better compete with the other domination runes. Bonus damage to enemies below 35% HP from 3% to 5%. So Triumph is going to be a mandatory rune on any tank. Bruiser tank in jungle or top lane. Maybe not necessary for supports that run weakness. But besides that, a lot of champions will benefit from Triumph. And then the question will be, okay, do I go for Brutal? Do I go for Triumph? Or do I actually just go for Champion? I think Champion is like one of the chat runes. Like, you need to be super confident that you can get the value out of that rune without dying too much. Well, Triumph is going to be a much safer option, and Triumph value in teamfight is pretty good to survive. When you're getting low and you get a kill, you might be able to survive. So Triumph is probably one of the best teamfight runes, while Brutal is more like an early game rune in the top lane or in the jungle. So it's really up to you. I think Triumph is going to be much more popular, and I would pick it a lot of times compared to before. 5% damage on Darius is must-have anyways. Darius, Katarina, champions that reset. This is gonna be a banger. Triumph is gonna be really, really strong. Okay, next one. Inspiration Hunter Genius. Hunter Genius isn't performing as well as we would like. We're increasing its starting ability haste and the ability haste that it provides per stack in order to make it a more competitive minor rune pick. Starting ability haste from 2.5 to 3, but ability haste per stack from 15 to 18, so you can get even more stacks right now. So that's a pretty sexy increase in total. There's gonna be a lot, like in total, there's gonna be a huge buff for Hunter Genius. I would honestly run Hunter Genius on almost any champion. Unless you need Mastermind, I would almost run always Hunter Genius when you benefit from ability haste. Because it's 54 ability haste in total, which is pretty huge. Okay, Inspiration Phase Rush. We know that Phase Rush has the potential to invalidate counterplay for some champions, which is why we've been careful when making adjustments to it. However, it's clear this keystone is weak compared to others. This buff should help champions that value the extra mobility over the course of longer fights, while also maintaining its current power level for champions that just want to use Phase Rush to execute a specific combo every once in a while. The cooldown is getting reduced from 15 to 12. I don't think that many champions benefit from Phase Rush too much. Like Darius could, Gragas, Graves. But the question is, Conqueror is kinda broken, and for Gragas you can just go Grasp. So is it worth going for Phase Rush in that case? Gonna need to try it out. I think that buff is gonna be sorted, but they only touch the cooldown, not any other effect of the Phase Rush. I think Phase Rush is really underrated and not many people use it. So we will see how it's gonna benefit Phase Rush, and whether or not Phase Rush Graves, Phase Rush Darius, or Phase Rush Gragas is gonna be much better than before. And now Sweet Tooth is getting nerfed 25% healing to 20%, and bonus gold per honey fruit from 20 gold to 15. So that's like every time you take a plant, it's 15 gold less. That's pretty hefty. So minus 25% value. 1/4 value compared to before. So, or minus 1/4 value. We will see. I think I would go Hunter Genius now. This is sexy, guys. So much ability haste on a Riven, on a Fiora even. Like there are so many champions that benefit, or Cannon, etc. Gragas, they could benefit from Hunter Genius. So like even a Kali. And now Bone Plating is getting the cooldown reduced from 45 to 35. I would still say it's kind of situational because Bone Plating in the laning phase is really easy to trigger, and then you have it on cooldown for 35 seconds still. But in the jungle, it could definitely be viable compared to Carapace or Titan that got nerfed. Conditioning. Initial wait time to gain bonus resistance from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. So they're shifting the time, and you will get the bonus effect of conditioning much more quicker. But they're nerfing the resistance you're getting at the same time from 8 to 5. I still think Titan, Carapace, and Second Wind are much better, or even Bone Plating. Titan is getting nerfed. The max dex of Tenacity you can get is getting up from 20% to 15%, so that's a 25% value loss. 15% is still solid, and you still have the benefit of stacking HP. And if they have a lot of crowd control, you definitely still need to go Hunter Titan, but otherwise, Carapace, Second Wind, and Bone Plating. Now Second Wind is getting buffed. Second Wind hasn't been living up to its promise of mitigating lane poke and harass, so we're cutting the amount of time needed to recover health to make it the stronger pick against consistent poke damage. This is going to be really good in bad matchups now. Regeneration time from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. So you're healing much more quicker whenever you take damage. This is going to be really good if you're laning against a range matchup as a melee. A must-have, actually. This is going to be a must-have. On Camille, I always run this rune. And in combination with Fleet Footwork, the amount of healing you have is just absolutely crazy. So Second Wind, in my opinion, very good if you want to have the extra sustain in the laning phase. Or you are into a bad matchup. But yeah, free to play. Who cares? We rich. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the review of the patch notes. Second Wind, I like that. Sweet Tooth, no, doesn't matter. Hunter Genius, that's gonna be huge. Triumph gonna be huge. This doesn't matter. Yumi, I don't know what they're thinking. She was already, I put her S plus tier, right? This is gonna put her God tier or something. I don't know what they're doing. Lulu, I think that's fine, but not too much. She needs more nerfs. Jack's nerf, I think this is gonna hurt him, but he's still gonna be very strong in the late game. And Fizz nerf, it's okay. I mean, he kind of needed a nerf, but it doesn't hit him too hard, I would say. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and write down some feedback whether or not you guys like the patch notes or what you guys would have preferred. And I see you next time. Bye-bye.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.